Hi everybody, Heather here. I'm coming to you with my very first podcast. First off, I'd like to thank all of the new subscribers that have come over from a couple different channels. I had a shout out from Cindy the Crocheter A, thank you, and a shout out from Jane at Scraptastic Yarns. So I really do appreciate it. And thank you for coming. If you like what you see, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So it's taken me a little bit to, come up with not necessarily content, but what to really talk about. And I think I've got it figured out. I think I'm going to call this podcast the Shh, Don't Tell the Boyfriend I Got More Yarn podcast. So this is going to be episode number 1. So what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to go through, just kind of what I'm wearing first, and then I will go into my whips and my finished projects, and we'll see where that takes us. So the shirt that I'm wearing today, it's kind of hard to see, but this is it here. It's just a very simple t-shirt. It's a pattern by Evelyn and Peter. It's called the Sweet Summer Tee. It's very, very easy. It's just simple. I believe it's half double crochet all the way up, and then you just flip for the neck, 2 panels. It's a very easy pattern. You just do some edging, and it's great. I have it in 3 different yarns. This particular yarn is the Universal Cotton Waves in Summer Berries, I want to say. I'll have it all linked down below and where I bought it, so that you can go check it out. But it's 100% cotton. It's so soft. I have actually washed this probably 3 times in the washer, and I don't seem to have any issues with it pilling or anything yet, but just be cautious, of course, whenever you're washing handmade items. So that's kind of what I'm wearing. Now, with regards to a little bit about me, let me go into that first. So I'm from a little town in Ontario, Canada. I grew up in a little town called Omimi. I no longer live there, but my mom actually still lives there, so we go there quite a bit. I now live in a bigger city within, the city, within the limits of that town, so about an hour away. I have two very beautiful dogs, Willa and Louie. They're father and daughter. I have a very big fat cat named Benzie. They will most likely make an appearance at some point in time in this video. Not necessarily this video, but in videos in general. Because as we all know with pets, we can't control them. So they jump up and do whatever they please. I have obviously the title of the podcast, but I do have a boyfriend. His name is Rob. We've actually been together for quite a few years. He has a daughter named Jaden. Maybe she'll come in videos, maybe not, who knows, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. My obsession is, like everybody else in this community, I have an obsession with yarn. When I first started, because I am a knitter and a crocheter, I did start with knitting. I do call myself a little bit of a yarn snob, only because when I started knitting, there weren't very many places in my little small town and surrounding areas at the time, where I could actually go and get the items, because I wasn't driving and all that fun stuff when I first started my journey 25 plus years ago. And the only store I really had was a local yarn store at the time. I think it was called Kawartha Yarns in Lindsay, Ontario, and that's where I learned most about the yarn and the joy of working with very, very good yarns. So that's kind of how it came about, and why I have so much finer yarn, and I call myself a yarn snob, so I'm not afraid to call that. But what I have learned since I started crocheting, which I took up in March of 2020, that I enjoy other yarns as well too. There's a time and a place for an acrylic yarn. There's a time and a place for a blend yarn. So that's what I'm learning. I'm also learning that I really like crocheted cotton tops. So since I've taught myself how to crochet, I've been really doing that a lot. And I've found that, yarn, like Crystal at Bag a Day says, is what you're willing to pay for it. And I do have an extensive collection that I would love to show, but unfortunately we live in a very small basement apartment, and it would be unrealistic for me to unload all of my totes and have them out. It just would be unrealistic. There's just no space to put it. I might do, you know, a couple like little cubbies, you know, the ones that you can get from IKEA. I can maybe stack some of those up behind me and show some of my stuff, but it's just difficult. But throughout the podcast, I'm starting to go through a lot of my older stash that I have, because there's quite a bit of it. And I'm starting to use up some stuff, and you'll see some of those in my finished projects, as well as some of my whips. So that's a little bit about me. I'm pretty boring, not very exciting, but I hope you like what I'm going to show you, and I'm actually very ecstatic to be part of this community and start showing off some of the work that I do, because as much as my boyfriend loves me and my family loves me, everyone's sick and tired of hearing about yarn and my knitting and crochet journeys. So my sister, she also taught herself how to crochet last year during the pandemic, and you know, I'm very proud of her. She's done a really good job, and it's time that we share together, and you know, she raids my yarn stash quite a bit instead of actually going out and purchasing any of her own yarn. So she's pretty lucky in that sense. So maybe she'll come on the podcast as well at some point in time as well. So that's going to lead me into the works in progress. So as you know, as I mentioned, I'm a knitter and a crocheter. The first whip that I have is going to be this shawl. It has not been blocked. When you block it, it's going to get quite a bit bigger. It's going to have tassels on the bottom. This is actually called the lightweight hipster shawl from Joji Locatelli. She's a very famous knit designer. As you can see, it's got these crosses across the work. Now, the way I did this is I used Back to the 80s, which is a yarn by Paw Ply Yarn Co. It's a superwash merino nylon blend, fingering weight. It's beautiful. It's definitely pink, so if you like pink, you'll love it. The white section here, I actually split it up a little bit because I had some leftover drops alpaca and drops kid silk that I did for a test knit for somebody back about a month and a half ago, a sweater. So I figured I'd use some of that up. So that's my first whip. I just literally have to sew in the ends, block it, and put the fringe on. If I'm going to do fringe. I'm still kind of on the fence if I want to do the fringe. So in my finished objects, there's actually one coming up as well, so you'll be able to see what it looks like finished. My next work in progress is the Summer Shawl by Crystal at Bag O' Day. This is actually going to be for the bought along. I don't think I'm going to be able to do multiple entries, unfortunately, just because I've got some other stuff on the go, and I also, you know, said I would test knit a couple shawls, so that's kind of in my wheelhouse. So this is what I've decided to do for this particular bought along. The yarn I'm actually using is, gonna blow it out, but it's Rowan, and it's backwards, and it's Rowan's Summertime Light. It's actually the exact same yarn that Crystal uses in her tutorial, except I chose a coral color that was in my stash because I just happened to have it. So this is kind of where I'm at. It's a very large rectangular shawl, but it's beautiful. I mean, it's not challenging if you can do double crochets, single crochets, and chains. You know, you can do this. So it goes all the way across. This is 100% cotton. It's beautiful. It's light. It's airy. I'm very impressed with it. It's probably going to take me a little bit of time, just like I said, because I'm on other things. But yeah, I'm excited to finish that one. So that's the Summer Shawl by Bag O' Day. Okay. Now, one thing you'll notice is I actually have a obsession with Evelyn and Peter. And I'm actually gonna blame Ginger from the Yarn Geek for my obsession, because she's the one that actually got me hooked on Evelyn and Peter. I've made quite a few things by her. She's quite an amazing designer. So the next thing I'm going to show you is the Twist of Summer tank. Just a little tank top. It's actually in the lemon peel stitch. So it's a 1 single crochet and then a double, and then you alternate. So this particular one is made in 2 panels, and then you work the tank part up. So I've got the front and the back panel done. I'm using Lion Brand Coboo in the color yellow. So it's very yellow. It's beautiful. So I'm almost done that. Both panels are exactly the same. Beautiful little, it's a beautiful yarn. I'm actually obsessed with this. I wish in Canada we were able to get Lion Brand a little bit easier and cheaper. We can't get this at our local Walmart, but it's always picked over. When you're making garments, you know, you try to keep the dye lots because you don't want a mismatch. So it's a little bit harder when you're trying to make a project. And I find if you want to get it, you have to order it, and ordering it through the website, the shipping is crazy. You know, we can order it through yarncanada.com, but again, they hike up the price and then the shipping and so on. So I was just lucky enough to find this yellow was all the color they had left. So I was like, why not? So that's why it's in yellow, but it's beautiful, very pretty. Now my next one, this is a pattern that I found. It was in a magazine. It was in Interweave Crochet, and it was the cover of the magazine for, I think it was the summer? Yeah, summer 2021. So without showing you any, like, I don't have the actual magazine because I actually went and bought the pattern. But this is the pattern. Okay, so it's just a little tank top, but it's got like a lace on the bottom. And now I'm going to show you the back. Now this is what sold me on the pattern. Can you see that? Like, I doubt my booty is going to look anything like that, girls, but that top is beautiful. So it's not very often that I will love something to the point where I have to have the exact color, the exact yarn to make it. When I saw this pattern, I bought the yarn right away and I couldn't wait to get it. And as soon as I got it, I worked it up, and it's done, but I have to sew it. Not a big fan of sewing. So it's kind of been sitting for a couple weeks, but it's called the Floating on Waves tank. You can either get it in the Interweave Crochet digital version, you can buy the magazine, or you can actually go onto their website and buy just the individual pattern if you want. So the yarn that I actually used for this is Valley Yarns, and it's called Granville. It's from yarn.com or distributed via webs. It's their house brand. It's 90% Pima cotton and 10% merino wool. So, but you would never know there's any wool in it at all. It's just stunning. The main color is called Pacific, and then the contrast color is called Mineral Green. So, don't mind the, what do you call it? The wrinkles, just because it's been sitting and the way I have it pinned. But this is the front piece. Can you see that? See how it comes around the bottom? And then the back, again, it's pinned, so it's not perfect. But this is going to be the back. And then it has that beautiful lace on the bottom. Isn't that gorgeous? Like, gorgeous. And it's so soft. It's beautiful. You know, if I wasn't kind of on a yarn ban right now, I probably would buy more of this yarn. It's just beautiful. I love it. I just have to get my butt together and sew it. But because you have to whip stitch this together, I can't crochet it together. So I have to do it the long way, which takes longer, but I'll get there. I promise. I promise it'll get there. So hopefully that'll be a finished object at some point in time in the near future. Now, the last whip that I have, I'm kind of on a shawl kick right now. I have quite a bit of hand-dyed yarn in my stash, but only one skeins of them. So I like one skein shawl projects, and I find I like to knit those more than I like to crochet them. So I have yet again another lightweight hipster shawl on the go. This one here is literally just started. This is literally where I am. I'm at the 100 row mark. So it's a top down shawl. So that's the top, and it comes down, and it's a circle. It's a circular shawl. So as you notice, there's a halo to it. I'll show you the right side. There's a halo. So what I did, because I had this Ancient Arts, I want to say it's called Reinvented. I can't even remember what it's made. It's made out of wool. I think it's superwash wool, maybe something recycled. I'm not even sure. I didn't have the label anymore, but I knew what it was, because I actually got these from, I had went with a local yarn store lady to the warehouse. She was nice enough to send me to go with her to the distributor's warehouse, and they had these bags of random things of yarn, garbage bags, and they were so cheap. They were like $10, $5, whatever they were, and they were just full of yarn. And this was in there, and it was a fingering weight hand-dyed yarn. Ancient Arts is a Canadian company. You know, they're very well known. You can get their yarn, I think, pretty much everywhere from what I understand. But this was in the color Eiffel, and let me take some out. I don't know if you can see, this lighting is not very good, but it has blue and random, yeah, you're not gonna be able to see this, but random specks of yellow. And it's kind of like an off-white mixed with some browns. When I first started working with this, I did not like it. I didn't like the way it was working up. I wasn't a fan. So what I did is I had, again, leftover of the kid silk. So this is the merino wool and kid silk from Drops. I actually put this together with this, and it's actually given it a very beautiful pink undertone. So it's changed all the colors slightly to from that off-white to a beautiful halo of pink. It's hard to explain, but it's super soft. It's not as soft as a 100% superwash merino, because like I said, I'm pretty sure the Reinvented has recycled something in it. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I'm positive there's something else in it. So it's a little bit harsher. But yeah, so I figured I'd use up that hank, make this. I can whip these particular shawls, these circle shawls up in, a couple days. They don't take very long. So, I mean, this is only this morning's worth of work. So yeah, so that's my last whip per se that I have. Now, on to finished objects. Exciting part. Now, this one here, I know a few of you follow me on Instagram. That's kind of where I started. I was very nervous to get into YouTube, but so a lot of my projects are all on my Instagram. So this here is a kit. This is the full tied shawl. So it's it's a triangle-ish shawl. Okay. This was a kit that I purchased. It's got some cable work there. This is a kit that I purchased from Blueprint before they went belly up, which is very sad because I bought multiple kits from them. It was a great deal. This kit was actually cheaper than buying more of the yarn that I bought. So it was a great deal. But this here is a It's 100% superwash merino, and it is Cloudborne superwash merino sport twist, I think. It's a fingering weight yarn. I will put it in the description box on what it is, but it's beautiful. It is so soft, and I don't know if you can see this ridging detail. Sorry if you hear that, neighbors. Yeah, but it's beautiful. This one's been blocked and washed and stretched so that it's beautiful. I can't wait to wear this in the winter time here in Canada. I'm so excited. But it's called the Full Tie Shawl by Carrie Peng. Peng? Yeah, Peng. P-E-N-G. And I'll link it down below with the pattern, and I'll link where you can get the yarn, because it is a discontinued yarn, and it's still being sold currently at Webs, so you can still get it. They still have a few colors, but yeah, take a look. It's beautiful. If you like superwash merino wool and fingering weight yarn, beautiful. So that's my first finished object. My second finished object is one of my all-time favorite yarn companies of life. So this is, it's gonna look familiar, this is the Hipster Lightweight Shawl. This one has been fully blocked. There's an end, but I have to close the end in. Fully blocked, fully stretched. This just needs tassels if I decide to do tassels. I haven't decided. I like it both ways. This is in beautiful Malabrigo Sock. It is probably my all-time favorite fingering weight yarn of life. The colors are beautiful. This is called Chris. As you see, it really pulls out those crisscrosses, and you can see the textured band just underneath it with the yarn overs. These are amazing to make. They make amazing gifts. They work fast. They take only one skein of fingering weight yarn, 437 yards. They're beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Again, I can't wait to wear this. I can't wait. I can't wait. So that's this one. Again, it's a lightweight shawl. Sorry, lightweight hipster. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Again, I'll link the pattern and everything down below for you so you have it. Now, second last one. Again, this one here was shown on my Instagram first. But this one here is another Joji Locatelli knitted pattern. This is the Storm Shawl. So this might look familiar because this is actually the same pattern that I sent 2 shawls to Rose Likes Crochet. So there was a red one and then there was a yellow one, same shawl. So this is a hand-painted yarn from Martin's Lab. I'm pretty sure he's in Poland. I came across him a couple years ago and I fell in love with his work. This is in the colorway Fairy Dust, and it's Cash Merino. So it's super wash merino, nylon, and I think it's 10% cashmere. So it's very soft, very gorgeous, and beautiful. And I don't know if you can see, but it's got a picot edging on the bottom. It's beautiful. If you're a knitter and you have not tried these patterns, it looks hard, but it's not. These holes, they're yarn overs round around your needle twice or 3 times, and then you just drop them on the next row. They're connected still to a stitch, so they don't drop per se, but they give you this beautiful effect. I always say don't be afraid when you see patterns like this because they're really not that difficult. So if you're a knitter and you've never tried this, I recommend that you do give it a try. It does have some short rows to it, hence you can see the garter stitch sections. That's how it gets some of its length and its character, but it's beautiful. I love it. These are my 2 go-to shawls, and I have so many of them. But that's that's that finished object. And the last one again is, I did show this, yeah, there was a small video on this, but it was connected to my blocking boards, and you know, it was really hard to see and all that fun stuff. But this is the Gracie Shawl. So now you can actually see how flowy it is. This is the shawl from Kristin Omdahl in her turquoise gradient set. It is absolutely stunning. It's in Be So Fine, which is 100% bamboo yarn. Like, it's just beautiful. You know, it's a rather simple pattern. It's yarn overs and knit two togethers and all that fun stuff. So it's just decreasing and increasing, but it's just so elegant, you know, and beautiful. I kind of wish, you know, I had more of this yarn, but unfortunately I don't, nor will I be probably purchasing any more for quite a while. But it's just beautiful. Like, it drapes so, like, so elegantly. Like, it's beautiful. If you can handle really fine, really fine slippery yarn, I would recommend it. I don't recommend knitting it on slippery metal needles. I do recommend wood or bamboo, but this will be so warm over the shoulders at night. I'm actually debating taking it with me tonight. We actually are going to the stock car races for the first time in Ontario for quite some time, so it might get a little chilly, so I might wear this anyway. But I do love it. I'll link the pattern, of course, and all that fun stuff down below. Yeah, so that'll do it for my actual finished objects. I know I have a lot of shirts that everyone wanted me to show, but there's just too many of them, and you know, they have to be washed and all that stuff. So what I'll do is I'll wear them in my videos, and I'll explain what they are, where they come from, where the patterns are from, etc. All the patterns I noted today are paid for patterns through Ravelry, except for the Bag O' Day, which she does have a tutorial on how to do that shawl, but she also has the paid for written pattern, which is what I bought. I'll link both down below. Of course, I'm not affiliated with any of the links that I put down below. They're strictly for, you know, your use if you want to just go and take a look and see what I did. The last thing I want to talk about is I did, and again, the namesake of how I called the podcast. But oh, out of frame here for a second. But I did pick up a couple hand-dyed acquisitions, I guess you could say. And actually some that I forgot about, that I found in kind of my stash when I was looking through. And I know they're relatively new, so I'm going to show what I got. Now, these are hand-dyed yarns. They are expensive. However, yarn is what you're willing to pay for it. So I'm not made of money. Do I overspend? Most definitely. Do I love them? Yes. Do you. If you can afford it, great. If you can't, there's nothing wrong with any other types of yarns out there at all. I even have some acquisitions that I got at Michael's that I was going to do a separate video on, and from Walmart. So, you know, please just take it with a grain of salt. So this is a company from Canada. My understanding is he does ship to the US. I'm not sure about worldwide, but I know he ships to the US. He's called Arcane Fiber Works, and fiber is spelt the Canadian way, F-I-B-R-E, not E-R. So I'll link him down below as well, so that everybody can go check him out. He's a hand dyer. What I'm going to show you is a fingering weight sock yarn. It's 85% merino, 15% nylon, and it's 435 yards, and it's in the color Cactus Rose. So there's his tag. It's backwards, but there's his tag. And again, One thing you'll know about me is I love my pinks, I love my grays, and I love white. So when they're mixed together, absolutely stunning. Like, it's beautiful. Like, no words. Beautiful. I apologize. It's kind of culling out the color. I think that's probably more true to color right there. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful company. Can't wait to start this. Now the next one I got is the same company. It's the same sock weight yarn. This one is called Birch Blanket. And if I haven't seen a better fall color, this is it. Isn't that stunning? The black, the orange, the yellow. I am like in awe of this. I love it. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Again, this one's called Birch Blanket. I don't know if he still has these colors. I know he just released a whole bunch more new colors, and I wish I could have bought some, but I can't buy any right now. But they're beautiful. Like, this is so soft. I can't even contain. I can't. No, it's beautiful. So I got to figure out what to make with this. Probably another shawl. I'm debating doing the Vertices Unite shawl, so I might have to find some colors that match that. So, but again, this is Arcane Fiber Works. Yes, Arcane Fiber Works. All right, so now the next ones are all Malabrigo Sock. So they're all the same brand. They're just different colors. So the first one I'm going to show you, I have plans for, I want to make a fingering weight sweater. And I've always wanted to make the Zweig sweater. But I've never had enough fingering weight yarn in one color to make it. And it does have some stranded work to it. So what I did is I have been eyeing this teal feather color for quite some time, and it's always out of stock, always. So I found it. This was purchased from a company in Canada called Yarnit Coburg, and yeah, it wasn't cheap. It wasn't cheap. It's about your typical hand dyed yarn price. But I have 3 of these to make a sweater. So that's my plan. My plan for these is to make a sweater. So we'll see. We'll see what comes out of that, or when I make it. It might be a couple weeks yet. It might be a winter project. Plus, fingering weight yarn takes quite a bit longer to knit. So, again, these ones here are actually purchased not from Yarnit Coburg. These are purchased from Granny Bird's wool shop in Bobcaygeon, Ontario. If you ever get to Ontario, Bobcaygeon is a beautiful town. It's a very cottagey town. It's very nice. But this is a beautiful, it's not even doing it justice. It is a hot pink. They call it fuchsia, but it's beautiful. Beautiful. This one here is called Cyan. Same thing, Malabrigo Sock. Again, it's not doing it justice. It's a very bright color. It's brighter than this, and this is actually showing up very light. So again, probably going to be a shawl of some sort, I would imagine. All right, now these ones here, again, they're all sock. This was a kit that Granny Birds had together for, I guess there was a pattern that came out for Malabrigo for some shawl this year. So she had these in kits of 3, but there's this beautiful, I'm gonna butcher this name, Sabiduria. It's backwards, so you're not gonna be able to see it, but it's this beautiful purple. So these can actually be, these are curated to go together. So if I do choose a pattern that needs 3 different colors, these are curated to all go together. So this one is called Flavia. So it's like some greens, some, greens, some grays. It's very neutral. It's very pretty. And again, these also weren't all bought at the same time, just so everybody's aware of that too. These were accumulated over a little bit. This one is called Lotus. This is a pretty popular Malabrigo sock color. But it's very, very pretty. Very pretty. So those are kind of what I've picked up. The two that I forgot about that I didn't even remember buying. Like, I don't remember buying these at all. But they're Malabrigo Sock. I haven't learned how to edit yet, so apologies. But it's called Stonechat. Stonechat. Not quite sure why it's called Stonechat. I'm gonna have to end this soon because they're gonna start barking. But I have two of these. At some point in time, I apparently bought two Stonechats. No idea where I bought them. Most likely from Yarn at Coboo, because she's really the only person that sold this for the longest time. I don't know. So this will have to figure out what it's gonna be. We'll see. We'll see. I think on some of my other episodes, I have some shawls that I did in the past that are just too beautiful not to show anybody, and I'm the only one that ever sees them, and I feel they need to be out in the world and the patterns need to be seen. So I think I'll show some of them in my next video, and one of them is made out of not sock but another Malabrigo yarn, and it's like a heart shawl, but it's meant to be in this yarn. So I'm wondering if that's what it was for. Maybe. But who knows? But again, I just want to say thank you very much for watching this. I'm sorry we're at 36 minutes. I do apologize. I tried to make it as quick as I possibly could. I will make all of the show notes and all the information down below. If I've missed anything, please let me know in the comments. I'm hoping to create a separate email for this YouTube account, and yeah, I'm excited for the journey and what's going to come, and I'm hoping I learn how to edit. We'll see. All right, everybody, take care. Have a good day. Bye.